Scott Vargas. We are looking at the bracket. We know what the matchups are for our first three matches tonight. The last two are going to take some figuring out.
Which has made scheduling that was one of the big challenges this week. Our VSL email thread was definitely hopping with requests to I don't want to be the last match playing, and it's like, well, we don't know who the last match playing is.
Right. It's like, okay, Chris has, I estimate, a 40% chance of being in that match. I think he's a favorite to beat Martel. Yeah, I felt like with VSL when we were round robin, it was possible to do a fairly good job of optimizing for time zones and sort of making allowances for people who had other plans on a Tuesday evening. But having it be a bracket makes things a little more challenging to schedule. I think it's just not possible to accommodate everything all the time now.
Well, it's easy to accommodate like Efro because you just know who's going to win. But when you have a bunch of people who were not sure about the results, yeah, that is tougher.
That's funny. Yeah, Eric doesn't even have a match this week. He's
Yep.
already advanced himself all the way into week 3, clinched top 3 during the first week.
It's surprising that Efro would be the first person locked and doesn't have to play another match because he's already in the finals.
If by surprising you mean not surprising, then yeah,
Right.
I'll allow it. So what happens to your matchup if you survive Menendian? Menendian's on Burning Oath, so your workshop's a good matchup there. You get either Chris or Tom. So either the workshop almost mirror or another combo deck. I guess
I actually like my bracket despite the fact that I'm 0-1, so clearly that's not good. I lost round one. Winner of workshops and combo, and I kind of biased my deck against workshops. I don't know if you've taken a look at kind of like my main deck and sideboard, but I have more against the mirror than I do against a lot of other decks in the field. Like, because I actually was pretty sure Rich Shea was going to be playing workshops because he played it at the NYSE, and actually I'd been talking to him about the workshop decks since he played, was playing something similar to what I played in a daily event a couple weeks ago, and I thought Chris was going to play workshops. So I thought with 2 out of 7 of my opponents potentially on shops, I wanted more cards against that matchup. Not saying that the matchup's a slam dunk for me; it's nowhere close, but it is something I've kept in mind. So if I can beat Steve, I'm pretty happy with whoever I end up playing.
that makes
But
sense. We should look at your deck list. I do. I definitely want to hear you walk me through the logic that led you to play a workshops deck. Because for me, that was by far the biggest upset when the deck list came in. Was you not having Force of Will in your deck is just shocking to me.
well, it's the first time actually that I've not had a Force of Will
I
in my
know.
deck. uh, this is kind of like the Frobots deck. I love the name, even though as I've been reminded multiple times, it was played in a one of the Spanish tournaments a couple months ago. That's where I actually originally got the list from. But it's the same workshop core of Lodestone Golem and Phyrexian Revoker and Spheres and Chalice and Tanglewire, but in the kind of like flex slots, instead of where Martello shops would have like Forge Master or Terra Nova would have like Null Rod and more Metamorphs, that this has Arcbound Ravager, Triskelion, Batterskull, Sword of Fire and Ice, which I actually have liked the way those cards have played. I think that those cards are good against the things Workshop needs help with. They provide a clock. They're not that good against the combo decks because they're just creatures that don't kill them that fast, but they do provide a clock, so at least it can finish them.
Mhm.
And I like them against the like Pyromancer type decks, against the Merfolk decks. Like Triskelion is just good in those matchups. Sword of Fire and Ice as well.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
I also
And
played
so
a lot of Metamorphs because I was trying to identify what I thought the best card in the mirror was, and it was just always Metamorphs. So I'm playing 3 mana, 1 board.
got it. Now, is this just a situation where Vintage has gotten to a place where you think Workshops just is the best deck? I mean, I know Eternal Weekend's coming up, which is always a big, huge weekend in the Vintage community. And a lot of people, nothing got restricted when the BNR list came out earlier this week. So a lot of people are thinking maybe this is the time where Shops finally makes a run and wins that tournament too.
I wouldn't be surprised. I do think Workshops is great. I don't think it's. I think it might be the best deck, but I don't think it's anywhere near a situation where you have to play it. I think that
Okay.
the various blue decks are also quite good. I think that Dredge is pretty good. I mean, I underboarded against Dredge as VSL has taught me. It is that you don't need to go overboard against on Dredge hate because Dredge has done heinously bad, and I just don't think that there are a lot of people who are going to end up playing it. So plus, this deck does have main deck Ravager and Triskelion against Bridge from Below, so it's got some outs against Dredge. uh,
Oh,
I mean, the other deck I was debating playing was clearly one of the Gush blue decks, and I don't know. I wanted to be on the shop side of things for once because that deck is just so bad against shops, and shops is just so powerful. Even I've been playing different mentor pyromancer decks in the dailies over the last couple weeks, and even when I'm boarding 10 cards against shops, I still just routinely lose to them.
Yeah, no, the shops deck is certainly depressingly good. I actually saw some of those mentor lists you were having success with. Did you see what I had in my sideboard, thinking that I would run into monastery mentors?
I did not.
I have 2 copies of Dread of Night.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
we played in one of the daily events actually, but I wasn't playing mentors then. I played against you, and I think I just had pyromancers.
yeah, you played circles around me for sure. It was a fun match, but
I wouldn't go that far. Game three, you kept a like one land plus strip mine hand, strip mine me when I missed a land drop, and then ended up not ever playing a second land.
well, it felt like one of those matches where we both had one really bad draw. Like 2 of the games were just blowouts, but the one interesting game that we played, I just every time I made a decision or chose a line, it failed, and you had the answer, and it's one of those where I'm pretty sure the one real game you played circles around me.
That was the game where a lot of ancestral was resolved on me, I think.
That was the one. Yeah, yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, I like the list you've got here, by the way. I like the Cabal Therapy Young Pyromancer kind of technology just because it just adds a really powerful disruptive element to a deck that has a lot of good card flow, has some cheap threats. Therapy, depending on the field, it can be amazing. Against combo decks, it's very, very good. Against control decks, it's very, very good. It's not great against shops in the mirror, but I think it's good against just about everything else.
Yeah, the deck is definitely fun. I couldn't bring myself to play shops. My debate was, am I going to be the guy who tries the dredge gambit, or am I just going to play with the blue cards that we all want to play with? Getting to play with Snapcaster Mage is fun too. Like there's 3 Snapcasters in this list, which just makes sense once you've got Cabal Therapies. You kind of want more creatures. You've got the 4 Gitaxian probes that you can just cantrip for free. It's a cool list. It's Ularade's design primarily. This is the deck that he was running, that he ran in the Magic Online Championships, and that his buddy Marcus Lanto wound up winning the Magic Online Championships with this as his vintage deck in that set.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. This is a pretty solid list, and I would not be surprised to see decks like this at Vintage Champs. Vintage Champs is actually one of the tournaments that's coming up for me. I'm not 100% that I'm going to play, but I'm pretty close. And
You sound like you're at least 80-90%.
yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm looking at flights, and I'm probably going to be able to figure out a way to make that work. So,
That is awesome. So
given
yeah,
that, I've got to figure it out.
sure, you got to figure out what to play. That's what, August 22, 23, right?
Yes, if you go to cardtitan.com, they've got all the information there. Nick Koss is running the event. He runs a very solid event, so I'm looking forward to that.
I agree completely. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, if you guys are thinking about this, that whole weekend is set up where Saturday you have your choice of playing the Legacy Champs or playing the WMCQ, trying to get onto Team USA for the World Magic Cup. And then whatever you do on Saturday, Sunday is set up to be the Vintage Championships. So it's a pretty sweet weekend.
Convenient for me since I can't go on Saturday, but Sunday I've got it all free.
That is pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm looking to possibly arrive Friday and try to get some games in on Friday while I then do the commentary Saturday, Sunday.
Right,
That
right.
should be a fun event. Speaking of fun events, we should be closing in on our first match of this evening. It's going to be Chris Pakula taking on Tom Martell. Tom is on a Doomsday list. Chris is on a Martello Shops list. So not the Shops deck that he played last season, and not the Shops deck that you're playing, but probably the most popular Shops deck out there.
Yeah, the Kuldotha Forge Master Shops. I believe it's called Martello Shops because Tom Martell invented it. So